Hi everybody, I'm Crazy Eddie, and I'm not going to be building a station today. Partly because we're experiencing the weirdest lag today, but also because this is pretty much the last episode and I just can't quite bring myself to get started on a project that I'll never touch again. So we're going to do a tour of what we have done on this server to wind things up. Starting with the railway, going back to our initial base. We did actually get the rail done all the way, so that was kind of cool. This has actually turned out to be one of my longer running YouTube series. In fact, I'm pretty sure the unstable 1.8.9 is the only one that was longer. And we've done a pretty fair amount of pretty cool things. And I've enjoyed doing all of them. I do think I would have enjoyed them more if I'd had other players on the server. Of course, it's one thing when you're playing alone in a single player game, but when you're online, you miss people when they're not there. But I suppose that sort of thing is always a problem with modern servers. And I think there's a couple of reasons for it. One of them is that when a new mod pack is released and is making a big splash, it's the new hotness, and everybody wants to get into it. But the newness never lasts forever. Eventually something else comes in and it becomes the new hotness, which might be another mod pack or it might be another game altogether. I also think another reason for it is because very rarely does a mod pack actually survive transition from a major version of Minecraft to another. For instance, there's no way that this mod pack, that this map, that this world could be transitioned to a 1.89 game or even a combat update or anything after that. And if it could, the work involved would be so phenomenal that it's not even worth talking about. So pretty much everybody goes in knowing that if they want to play the Bountiful update or the combat update, they know that they won't be doing it in Infinity Evolved. So people don't get attached. But enough about the depressing stuff for now. Let's go over some of our more recent creations. And I guess we'll start with the infusion room. Because I'm pretty happy with this work. I probably could have come up with better textures to go with this and that. I think that came out pretty nice. And of course, this former hungry node, once purified, is powerful enough to satisfy all of our infusion needs. Or at least all of those involving Centivi. There's our bee house. Must be out of enzymes. Oh, out of ethanol. Well, I'm not going to worry about that. But I did get it all to where it functions pretty well. Not really fully automated. And really, I should have built this place bigger. Because it did become pretty much of a cramped mess by the time I got all my bees made. And then there's Tim's House of Botania. And I built the outside of the building. And I'm reasonably pleased with the way it came out. But Tim did all the practical work. And it came out looking and working really awesome. He even put these begonias out, which would have been really useful if I'd gotten around to getting my waste bees set out here. These things are a pain in the butt. And that's why. And of course there's our bee field, which has done a huge amount for my thermic exercises. In fact, these nodes are actually getting where they're hard to look at. And these are some huge numbers. And this node, still pale. That is one stubborn node. Anyway, I'm sure we all remember the rail factory. It was only last episode that I made it. And of course, Jeff and Tim, and I think Eric, built this technical lab pretty much on their own. In fact, I think Tim pretty much built all of this on his own, really. Complete with the reactor and the turbine and the laser drill. And this energy core is very nearly full. How about that? And of course the AE system down here. I would never have had enough places to store all my bees without this. And down here we have the Ender Pearl farm. And those two little golems still out there just farming their little golem hearts out. And I may as well cover our starting base. And this is pretty much where we started the whole thing. This was one particular player's area. They just had this little outside area to themselves. And I guess that worked for them. And this was basically Toast's magic area, where she started pretty much all of the Thaumic research. And then moved on to witchery. And here's where our initial tree farming was done before I built the forestry tree farm. And down here, I don't even know what's down here. Just some essence berries, I guess. Somewhere up there is my cloud miner. Which I designed to be a very interesting and completely inefficient way of gathering cloud blocks. I did manage to fill this chest to about 1/3 full. I had this idea of building a cloud castle. I had initially thought that Drachmel must have found some really funky spawn seed for this server to have it generate the spawn so close to Mushroom Island biome and to have so much Mushroom Island everywhere. But I found out that that was actually a bug with Biomes of Plenty. Apparently, if you have Biomes of Plenty installed, but you don't generate a Biomes of Plenty world, then Mushroom Island ends up replacing all of your deep ocean biome. So we have lots of Mushroom Island, but no deep ocean. Which turned out to be pretty handy for us, since we didn't have monsters to deal with all the time. We managed to focus a lot of our efforts on building stuff. Basically, I'm changing the ticket so that we can go to our Jungle Temple. Oops. So another problem I have observed with modded in the past is that players end up getting goal oriented. That is to say that they decide to build the cool big things and get all the power, and then they're done. And I do believe that Infinity Evolved was built with that kind of play in mind, to extend the play by making everything more difficult to get. But that's not really the way that Minecraft is designed to function. Minecraft isn't designed to have an end. Oh sure, we have an end. And if you beat the Ender Dragon and go through the portal, you see a lovely ending credits. But you know, once you step through that portal and press escape, it's not the end. You can keep building as long as you like. But that's not something that people tend to do when they have these specific power goals. And of course, here we have the Hungry Temple. And down here is where our original Hungry node was. Before I fed it up to great power, and then captured it and took it back to our base to energize. There is another Hungry node in this game, which Tim located. But Hungry nodes have pretty much become obsolete since I did all that work with the bees. I do think this guy came out pretty cool, though. I probably could have built a whole base around this guy if I hadn't been sticking around our home base. So anyway, I've been thinking about these problems with modded play in connection with the mod pack that I want to build next, which for the time being I'm going to call Pain in the End 2. I think that one of the things that has made Minecraft itself so extensive and so replayable, especially in comparison with mod packs, is that it gives you interesting problems and interesting solutions. It doesn't have a whole sorting system, but you can innovate one through the use of hoppers and pistons and so on. And I think that that's probably what I'm going to focus on most in Pain in the End, is interesting solutions to interesting problems. So one of the things that I plan to do is try to avoid all of the do everything mods. Like Ender IO and thermal expansion. And probably even industrial craft. I think I will leave those behind in favor of mods that do more interesting things. Railcraft is definitely one that would be included in there, because there are so many different tools to do different things in different ways. And Flaxbeard's Wondrous Steam mod, because I also want to give special preference to mods that probably will not be in the next version of Minecraft. Reka's mods like Rotary Craft and Electrocraft and Chromatocraft. Very technically, Rotary Craft is one of those do-everything mods. But on the other hand, it does a lot of these things in interesting ways, and ways that are cool to look at. And it's enough of a different experience that I think that learning to play with that will be a worthwhile event in itself. I'm really torn about Thaumcraft, because there's still so much to do in Thaumcraft 4 that I haven't really touched yet. And also the fact that a lot of other magic mods treat it as the fulcrum around which they rotate. It's like a contact point for all of the magic mods. Chromatocraft, Blood Magic, Forbidden Magic, all of them have their own thaumic elements. And that's going to make Thaumcraft really hard for me to leave behind. And also these little guys. I would really miss these little guys. I would also include Ars Magica as one of those other mods that has so much to it, and yet, as far as I know, has only updated 4 months ago, and probably will not be updating into the Bountiful update or the Combat update. Agricraft, it's a bit on the overpowered side. I love the way that the plant breeding works. And I would like to be able to breed plants that way. But I would have to see if I can decrease the maximum rate at which these plants can grow. I'd also like to include Lycanites mobs, because many of them are very interesting. I would definitely have to turn down spawn rates on a lot of mobs, especially Spriggans. And Efreet. But I want to ride an Uvaraptor. Those things are just cool. Immersive engineering will certainly be going in. It is visually just too interesting not to. I'm going to do my best to avoid almost anything with mob spawners, because mob spawning and mob farming has so many interesting solutions that it just seems so depressing to just replace all of that with a RF powered box. I think that's probably one of the biggest creativity killers in the whole modded game. So here I am, more or less where I started. And those are my thoughts about where I'd like to go. I'm going to see if I can make this mod pack on the Curse launcher so I can share this with anyone who might be interested. So, this has been Crazy Eddie Does Infinity Evolved. And I have enjoyed myself, and I hope you have too. I'll be working on Pain in the End 2 soon. And until then, have some fun, build something cool, and have a nice day.